All right, thanks everyone for joining today. We're going to talk about meaningful SEO metrics. So let's go ahead and get started. And just so you know who I am the founder of an SEO agency called Net Concepts, which actually no longer exists. It's now part of Covario out of San Diego, a search marketing firm. I am also the inventor of a SEO technology platform called Gravity Stream. I also am co-author of The Art of SEO. Now in its second edition, I'm happy to say. It just is coming out in 10 days in ebook form and be available in the bookstores a couple weeks after that. So hot off the presses, it's an extra 100 pages more than what it already was. It was quite a thick tome before. It's 600 pages now. It's about 700. And I'm also author of Google Power Search. So with that, these are the two books that I just mentioned, The Art of SEO and then Google Power Search. And then another fun little tidbit about me, I have 3 daughters, and my oldest daughter, she started a website when she was 13. It was called Neopets Fanatic, and she still owns it, and it makes money for her while she sleeps, using SEO and blog technology. She runs it on WordPress and uses AdSense to monetize the site. So she makes money day and night just by having people come to her site because she ranks quite well for keywords like Neopets and Neopets Cheats and Neopets Avatars and so forth, which Neopets is a popular kids site owned by Nickelodeon. So there's kind of a fun little tidbit for you. You can do this too. It's not rocket science. You can have a website that makes money for you while you sleep. You just have to come up with a compelling topic, do your keyword research, figure out what sort of content you want to create that's value added, and build up authority and importance in the eyes of Google by getting links and doing link baiting and stuff. These are the sorts of things that we've talked about in past webinars. I've done one on link building for you guys, which you're still able to listen to the recording on. And so just applying some of the strategies and tactics that I've already discussed in the past several webinars, and you can do this too. In this webinar, we're going to talk specifically about SEO metrics, how to make important data-driven decisions about what to do and what not to do based on data, on where you've been and where you think you're going, predictive analytics, as well as kind of rear view mirror looking in the, at what you have gotten to help you make good decisions. Now let me differentiate between search analytics and web analytics, because most of us are thinking in terms of web analytics, which means like Google Analytics, web trends, and Omniture and that sort of thing, right? So that's basically like looking in the rearview mirror. It's telling you what you've already done, what you've already gotten. It doesn't tell you what you could get if you did things differently. So that's an important distinction. It's the difference between search analytics technology or software and web analytics software is kind of like which tool would you want to have at your disposal if you're, let's say, a professional photographer? Would you want a camera phone, or would you like a DSLR, yes, a digital SLR camera, like a Nikon D90 or something, right? I would prefer the latter. And so if I'm going to do some really killer SEO, I want some killer SEO analytics software at my disposal. The web analytics doesn't go away. I'm still going to mine my Google Analytics and Omniture and what have you that I'm using to track conversions and traffic coming in and so forth into my website. But I need both. Of course, you can't reliably or reproducibly improve what you don't measure. So most of the folks that I talk to are unfortunately not measuring most of the sorts of metrics that I consider important, and we'll get into what these are in just a few minutes. But let's first talk about some old school SEO metrics that you probably are tracking or at least think about tracking, and then we'll talk about some kind of next generation metrics, things that you probably don't even know exist that I think you should be tracking. Let's start with search engine rankings. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? You should use some sort of technology or software, ideally, to track this rather than doing it by hand, because it's a lot more scalable that way. One of the tools I like is called Authority Labs. It's authoritylabs.com. But there are other tools out there, of course, that do this. And the benefit of using a software or a service to track your rankings is that when you use a service that comes in through different IP addresses or proxies, or is not pinned to a particular location and particular search history, you're not getting skewed results, right? When you do a search on Google, you're getting results that are tailored to you. They're tailored to your past search history on Google. They're tailored to your location, right? So you get a lot of local results, local to your city or town that you're in. So we don't want that. We want to see more generic set of results that's more representative of your market, if it's the U.S. or U.S. and Canada or what have you. Also, we want to track keyword popularity and see what is popular and what's not popular with searchers. Is it the singular? Is it the plural? Is it one verb tense or another? Is it a one synonym or another synonym? We need tools to tell us what's popular and what's not popular. And so there are tools out there that are paid, and there are tools out there that are free for checking your keyword popularity in this major search engine. So from Google, there are some free tools that you absolutely need to have in your toolbox, including Google AdWords Keyword Tool, Google Insights for Search, and Google Trends. Incidentally, we're going to talk more about some of these tools in a few minutes, and also if you haven't attended my previous webinars, I encourage you to watch the recordings, because many of the tools that I don't have time to discuss now, like the Google AdWords Keyword Tool, I've actually discussed in past webinars. So indexation is another one to track, to know how many pages of your site are in Google's big database. It's index. And one way to do that is a site colon query. You type in site colon www. whatever your site name is .com into the Google search box, but that's very imprecise. A much better way to do it is to sign up with Google Webmaster Tools and verify that you're a site owner of your site, and then you can get better data in terms of indexation numbers and some of the other metrics that we're going to talk about here shortly, such as link popularity. Right, so what is link popularity? I talked about this in some detail on the link building webinar. This is like the number of votes or links that are pointing to your site, and you can use tools like Open Site Explorer, Majestic SEO, link research tools to look at link popularity not only of your own site but of competitor sites as well, which is pretty cool, because then you can ascertain where they're getting most of their authority and importance and trust from, and kind of cherry pick those best sites to get links from yourself. You can also use, as I mentioned, Google Webmaster Tools, which is part of Google Webmaster Central, and you have to be a verified site owner in order to see the link popularity data. You can't look at your competitors through that tool. But these other three tools I just mentioned, absolutely, you can look at competitors, other top-ranking sites, and kind of reverse engineer where they're getting their PageRank from. Speaking of PageRank, I threw around a couple of terms like trust, authority, importance, and PageRank is actually the name that Google calls their algorithm for importance, and there is a trust component and an authority component baked into the PageRank algorithm. PageRank is named after Larry Page, co-founder of Google, and just bear in mind that this is really something that's more for entertainment purposes only nowadays. The PageRank scores that are public to us SEOs and webmasters, is not necessarily the PageRank data that is available and used by Google and the ranking algorithm. So it absolutely isn't. In fact, it's not the same thing, right? So we're getting an export which is imprecise and probably not accurate. You'll see that some sites get tweaked downwards with PageRank reduction on the PageRank meter in the Google toolbar, and yet their rankings don't diminish or fall at all. So clearly something is not correlated there between the PageRank scores that we see served up by the Google toolbar server and the rankings. All right, so every page has its own PageRank score. Scores that are reported according to the toolbar server are months out of date, so take it with a grain of salt. That said, there's another metric that can kind of pseudo-replace PageRank, and actually several metrics that are third-party metrics similar to PageRank. One is called MozRank, another is called MozTrust. We'll get into those in a little bit when we talk more about Open Site Explorer. There's also ACRank, which is a Majestic SEO metric. So Majestic is a competitor to Open Site Explorer from SEOmoz. And then Kemper Link Juice metric is yet another importance type of metric relating to links, and that's part of linkresearchtools.com. So more old school SEO metrics. There's cost and ROI, like sales by keyword, sales by engine, by search engine, cost per lead, that sort of thing. But what I want to encourage you to do is go beyond these old school metrics. I'm not discouraging you from still tracking them, but you need to go beyond those to really get a good read on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So that's where these next generation SEO metrics come in. And let's talk about these. Starting off with a metric that I call page yield. And what this refers to is the percentage of unique pages yielding search engine delivered traffic in a given month. In other words, if you look at the percentage of your site that is bringing in traffic from Google, let's say it's 50%, right? So that would actually be a pretty good outcome, because in most cases it's far less than that. So typically what happens is a minority of your web pages are bringing in any visitors from Google. That's a problem, and that's something that is most of the time invisible to webmasters. They're not tracking that, and they have no idea that that's happening. We'll talk more about how to fix that in a minute. Keyword yield, that's another metric, and that one gives you the ratio of keywords to pages that are yielding search traffic. Right, so let's say that you have on average 5 keywords per page that are bringing in traffic from Google. That's not bad, but wouldn't it be better if you had 10 keywords per page that are bringing in traffic from Google? Right, so that's a better outcome, because it's like you're casting a wider net and capturing a larger share of keywords with each page that you have indexed. That's a good thing. Next metric is brand to non-brand ratio. That looks at the percentage of search traffic coming from brand keywords versus non-brand keywords. If you have a very high ratio, brand to non-brand, that means that you are overly reliant on your brand name and your domain name and your company name, whatever, to get traffic from Google. And those are kind of like white pages searches where the person already knows you exist, that you're in the consideration set. They're probably going to find you some way or another. So it's not really, I wouldn't even consider it really SEO traffic. So the non-brand keywords, though, you're in a competitive set of, like, somebody's searching for sheets or T-shirts or what have you, and they're not putting your brand name in that query. You may not even be in the consideration set at all yet. And if you don't appear in the top set of search results, you probably won't be in the consideration set. You absolutely need to have a healthy ratio here where you have a lot of non-brand traffic coming in, non-brand keywords that are driving a significant portion of your search traffic. Another next generation SEO metric is unique pages. This is basically teasing out what out of the indexation numbers, what the percentages or the number of pages that are duplicate versus unique in, let's say, Google's index or Bing's index. And oftentimes what happens is there'll be complexities in the URL structure, like session IDs or tracking parameters and so forth, that will confuse the spiders, and they will get the same page of content but at differing URLs. So they get 10 copies of the same piece of content, the same product page, the same blog post, or what have you. And the search engine will not be able to figure out that it's duplicate, or maybe they do figure out that it's duplicate. Google's pretty good at, with its duplicate content filter at figuring out what is duplicate. But what that does is it dilutes your page rank. You have serious page rank dilution. You have your voting power spread across all these different duplicates. It's a bad situation. So if we can kind of tease that out and see what our unique page numbers are versus how much of our site is that's indexed in Google as duplicate, then we can work to reduce the duplicate content and mitigate the situation. Another next generation metric is visitors per keyword. That's the ratio of search engine delivered visitors to search terms. So let's say that you get 5 visitors for every keyword. If we can get 10 visitors for every keyword that you are ranking for in Google, that's a pretty good outcome, right? How do you know unless you start tracking it? Next is index to crawl ratio. That's the ratio of pages indexed to the unique crawled pages. Now think about this. If you have like visualize, if you will, a funnel, and at the top of the funnel you have crawled pages, or otherwise known as spidered pages, right? Crawled or spidered by Googlebot. And then next down in the funnel you have indexed pages, and then you have below that ranking pages, and then below that you have traffic coming in, like click-through. People are actually visiting the pages. And then after that you have conversions. People have actually bought something or partaked in some sort of conversion event on your website, signed up for your e-newsletter, or requested a print catalog, or filled out a contact us inquiry form, whatever that conversion event is. Right, so there's that funnel. And at the top of the funnel you have the crawling, and below that you have indexing, i.e., not every page that gets crawled is going to get indexed. It's not going to necessarily end up in Google's database just because Googlebot went and visited the page. So we need to track that. We need to know what's that ratio, how wide is that funnel at that point. Is it pretty a pretty healthy ratio? Most of the pages that are getting crawled are getting indexed. Well, that would be a good outcome. If not, we need to work to fix it. Engine yield, how much traffic the search engine delivers for every page that it crawls. Okay, so it's just pretty straightforward. So for every page that is crawled, let's say there are 1,000 pages to a website, how much traffic is being delivered on average to each of those 1,000 pages that are being crawled. Of course, that's going to be affected by how much of your site is going to get indexed out of what's getting crawled. So if you work to improve the previous metric of index to crawl ratio, you'll see better engine yield. Non-performing pages, this relates to that first next generation metric I talked to you about called page yield. Non-performing pages are pages that are delivering 0 search visitors in a given time frame. Let me go into more detail on that. So let's imagine that you have 1,000 pages to your website, every page is like a virtual salesperson working for you, right? You have 1,000 virtual salespeople out there pounding the pavement trying to bring in prospects for you from Google. Well, let's say that out of those 1,000 pages, those 1,000 virtual salespeople, only 20% are actually working. The rest are sitting on the bench. 80% of your virtual sales force is taking a smoking break. That's a bad idea, right? Because you're really missing out on a lot of opportunity. So these are like freeloaders who are sitting on the bench collecting a paycheck doing nothing for you, and the 20% is carrying the full load and trying to bring in all the business for you. Well, you need to work to improve that. First of all, we need to know that 80% of your sales force are freeloaders, right? So we need to track these non-performing pages that aren't bringing in any visitors from Google in a given month. And then we need to work to correct this situation and reduce the number of freeloaders, reduce that percentage. As I alluded to earlier, this percentage is much larger than you think, and it's low-hanging fruit. If you especially target the most frequently crawled non-performing pages, these are ones that Google thinks highly of for whatever reason. Googlebot keeps coming around and visiting those pages, even though no search visitors are coming in to those URLs. So those would be a great target for doing some optimization work. Maybe you've targeted the wrong keyword, something that nobody searches for, and you just need to make some tweaks to the keyword focus on the page, right? So it could be a simple fix. This is potentially low-hanging fruit in consultant speak. I love that term. No, actually, I hate that term, low-hanging fruit. So overused. So anyways, this is a great opportunity. You definitely want to examine your non-performing pages. And there are actually tools out there that will give you insight into this. If you, by the way, can't get these non-performing pages to perform, you should carve them out of your site tree and stop passing PageRank or link authority to those pages so that they're not bleeding away PageRank from your important pages on your site. Here's an example of a report showing non-performing pages, and you can see it's sorted by crawler activity. In other words, the more Googlebot hits that page in a month, the higher the number, and then that's sorting those pages to be up at the top. But all these pages that are being reported on aren't getting a single visitor from Google, even though they're getting crawler activity. All right, and then let's now talk about scoring your SEO, because it's not just qualitative, or it's not just art. I know the name of the book is The Art of SEO, but there's serious science to this, right? We need to take an experimental approach and figure out what works, what doesn't work, run hypotheses and tests and see what the outcome is, right? Because you could be wrong. And a great way to do this is to use tools that will give you insight into what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, not just qualitatively, but quantitatively. So applying scoring factors to things like your title tags, your anchor text, your keyword prominence, your meta descriptions, so that's on-page factors, but also off-page factors as well, things that are not on the web page or in the HTML of the web page, things that are off the site even that are affecting the page in question and where it ranks, like inbound links, trust, authority, anchor text, et cetera, right? So those sorts of things, if we can score those as well, that would be even better. There are some technologies that will allow us to do this at the enterprise level, and now you're getting pretty expensive when you're talking about enterprise SEO tools, but one of them is Covaria's Organic Search Insight. And at a small business level, of course, you're going to get much less out of a small business tool than you would an enterprise level tool, but HubSpot's websitegrader.com gives you a little bit of a report card, but it's only kind of entry level. It's not like an enterprise tool. If you're interested in learning more about this topic of scoring your SEO using tools and technologies, I wrote an article for Search Engine Land on the topic, and there is the URL. All right. Here is a screenshot of the Organic Search Insight platform from Covario, showing how it scores and provides automated recommendations based on the scoring that it's come up with. And then you can even take it to another level and do predictive analytics. I guess in a way, scoring your SEO is predictive analytics because you don't have to wait for your rankings and the traffic and the conversions in order to see what you've done right and what you've done wrong. So that is truly predictive analytics. But you can even take it to a level of real time, where you're getting real-time feedback as you are writing the content. You can see that you are leaving out the important keywords that that you should be targeting. That's pretty cool. So if you are at a small business level, then a tool like Scribe, if you are running WordPress on your blog or your website, Scribe is an SEO WordPress plugin that gives you real-time feedback on your content as you're writing it. And then if you're more to enterprise level, there's Compendium Blogware, which is a blogging platform for corporate blogs. And as you are writing your blog post, it has like a keyword strength meter that updates real-time with each keystroke. Really quite cool. And then Covario Organic Search Insight also gives you sort of feedback. And here is a screenshot of Scribe. Oh, no, sorry. This one is Compendium Blogware. And this, as you can see, shows the keyword strength meter. As you type your blog post, it goes from red to yellow to green. So you want green before you hit submit, before you hit post or publish. And then Scribe SEO. This one is a screenshot of Scribe. And let me just show you one other screenshot. Of course, this is only going to work for you if you are running WordPress as your content management system. But if you have a blog and that's running WordPress, you can use Scribe for that. If your entire site's running on WordPress, then you can use this across your entire site. All right, so next up, let's talk about a few other metrics like top converting or performing page 2 ranked pages. That would be pretty cool to track, right? So we could see that, for example, pages that were ranked on page 2 in Google for, they're already doing the business for us. They're already driving a decent number of conversions. If we were to just make that little leap onto page 1, just think the floodgates would open, right? It would just be a huge opportunity for us. So that's something that would be worth tracking. Another one is top converting or performing keywords on one engine that are non-performing on another. What would you do with a list like that, right? So let's say that you had a list of keywords that you are performing well for, you have a lot of conversions for on Bing, but you are nowhere and not getting anything for these keywords on Google. What would you do with a list like that? Think for a minute. What would you do with a list like that? Keywords that you are crushing it on Bing for and not on Google. Okay, I'll give you the answer. You would buy AdWords, Google AdWords. You would sign up for AdWords if you aren't already, and you'd start bidding on those keywords because that would give you instant traffic. You already know that you're going to perform well with those keywords in terms of conversions because it's been proven on Bing. You just need to start getting some instant visibility for those keywords on Google, and the cash registers going to start ringing, right? So that's a great entry point. And I know that's not SEO, but that's the next step. And then as you work to improve your SEO for those keywords to rank on Google, then you can dial down the PPC. Another interesting metric is highest potential keywords you're getting traffic for, right? So highest potential. You're getting some traffic for these keywords, but there's a lot of potential left. Maybe because you're not ranked well for these keywords, you're ranked pretty poorly, or maybe you just don't have really compelling value proposition in your search listing and the title or the snippet or whatever, right? So you're getting some traffic, but you're not getting the level of conversions that you think you should be or you could be. That'd be a great thing to wrap your head around. Another one is highest potential keywords you're not getting traffic for based on potential referrers, revenue, and ROI. Okay, so what's the difference between this one and the previous metric? Well, you're not getting any traffic for these keywords. These keywords are like not on your radar. So if you are a baby furniture manufacturer and you're selling bassinets and cribs and so forth, I bet you that baby names is not on your radar as a keyword to target because you're not selling baby names. But yet you do the keyword research and keyword brainstorming, and you see that, wow, tons and tons of traffic for baby names. And these are my customers, my prospects, because they're expectant parents who are searching for that keyword. Let's start targeting that keyword. So that's a potential keyword that completely off the radar. You're not getting any traffic for, and yet what a great opportunity if that were to show up on your radar. Let's run through quickly some of the search engine supplied tools. These are all free. Thank you, Google. Thank you, Bing. Google has Webmaster Central, which includes webmaster tools and some forums and a whole bunch of FAQs, frequently asked questions, and just a ton of resources. But Webmaster Tools, Google Webmaster Tools is the main thing that we're going to talk about. I'll show you a few screenshots. And then Bing Webmaster Center is Bing's version of that. It's not as extensive, but still worth signing up for. Again, a free account, so there's no reason why you shouldn't have an account with Bing Webmaster Center. There's also Google Insights for Search, Google AdWords Keyword Tool, and Google Trends. All three of those tools, of course, are free and are great for doing keyword research to see which keywords are popular. And when I do that keyword popularity scoring to see what's popular and what's not popular, which verb tenses, plural, singulars, etc. Okay, so let's look at Google Webmaster Tools first. This one is quite an interesting report. It shows you top search queries where you are ranking and potentially getting traffic, but not necessarily. How else would you get a report like this except from Google? This is pretty darn cool. Thank you, Google, for providing this information. So they're saying I'm ranking for such and such keywords, and these are the average positions, and it could very well be that I'm getting some traffic, but I may not be. I might have a horrible search listing that drives the searchers away. They don't even want to click on my listing. There's I just the other day saw a search listing for a site where the keyword, the snippet portion of the search listing just said processing. Yeah, that's terrible, right? So we need a much better, more compelling search listing if we want to get clicks from the search results. So I forget what site that was, but I suppose it's just as well that I don't remember that site because I don't want to embarrass them publicly. But yeah, it's not a good look. Anyway, so that's one report. Another report. Drum roll. What Googlebot sees. This one is, this particular page is showing the link text, the anchor text that Googlebot is finding in links that are pointing to my site. And external links are inbound links. Internal links are internal within your site. So when you link to yourself, are you using stupid keywords like click here and read more and check this out and that sort of thing? Or are you using keyword-rich links that are relevant to the product, blog post, article, category, whatever that you're linking to? That's another useful report. And like I said, all this stuff is free, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be using these tools and poring over the reports. Now, I mentioned that you can do some digging into what your competitors' link authority is based on, where they're getting their links from. Well, you can also look at, and this is very imprecise and inaccurate, but it's better than nothing. You can see what your traffic trends are for your competitors using tools like compete.com, quantcast.com, alexa.com, and you can also see what keywords that these folks are getting traffic under from Google using SEMrush, search metrics. That's pretty cool stuff. And Hitwise as well from Experian, which is that's super pricey, so most folks don't sign up for that. But SEMrush and search metrics are both very affordable. I mean, imagine being able to get a keyword list of what keywords your competitors are getting traffic from Google on. That's pretty cool. Okay, here's a screenshot of Compete showing traffic trends over time. And a lot of these tools will give you demographics like male versus female, household income, age ranges, that sort of stuff. There's Quantcast. And if you see the same sort of trend on multiple of these tools, then you can start to believe it. You know, take this stuff with a grain of salt unless you see a lot of corroborating evidence across the different tools and maybe in the media or you know, the news, you know, like, oh yeah, these guys took a dive in their stock price and so forth, and you can see the conversion, I mean the traffic's going down or whatever. That, like I said, take it with a grain of salt because this is, just by its very nature, inaccurate. It's not like these guys, Quantcast and Compete and so forth, have hacked into the Google Analytics of these competitors' sites. So this is an estimate that you can see here: male versus female, age, ethnicity, size of household, and stuff like that. Pretty cool. So Compete, Quantcast. Here's Alexa. Alexa's owned by Amazon. Bear in mind that there are folks who mess with the system to try and make their site look more popular than it really is, so that they can charge more to advertisers. There's actually tools out there that will inflate your Alexa ranking. They'll pretend to be Alexa toolbar users visiting your site and inflate the numbers. So take it with a grain of salt. All right, and here's another screenshot from Alexa. And you know how on Amazon you can see when you look at a book, people who bought this book also bought these other books. You can see people who have visited this site have also visited these other sites. That's pretty cool. Another Alexa screenshot. This here is a screenshot of SEMrush, semrush.com. And as I said, it will give you a report on what keywords your competitor is getting traffic for from Google, and show the historical trending. And yeah. And then here's another report from SEMrush. This one is not the keyword report of which keywords you're getting traffic, your competitor's getting traffic under, but instead this juxtaposes you and your competitor or multiple competitors and shows the search traffic trend over time. So. And then finally, I didn't include a screenshot of search metrics, but that's definitely a very cool tool that should be in your wheelhouse as well. And then finally, this is Hitwise, which, as I said, prohibitively expensive, 5 figures, sort of expensive. So cool if you can afford it, but most folks don't. All right, now let's get into inbound links. And the aforementioned tools I talked about earlier, Open Site Explorer, Majestic SEO, and link research tools. Let's start off with Open Site Explorer. This one is going to give you some data for free if you don't have a paid account, but it's very limited. I strongly encourage you to sign up for a paid account with SEO Moz, which will give you full access to Open Site Explorer. Open Site Explorer is part of the SEO Moz suite of tools. This particular tab just gives you a list of the links and anchor text used and other metrics relating to the importance of each of those links. That's very helpful. And then on this tab, you're getting a list of various metrics, link metrics that SEO Moz has come up with. Their approximation of PageRank is called MozRank. Their approximation of TrustRank, which is it's like PageRank, but it starts with a trusted set of sites as the seed set of sites to start the calculation from. So their approximation of TrustRank is called MozTrust. They also have page authority. All three of those metrics, by the way, are on a logarithmic scale, just like PageRank score. So going from a 0 to 1 or a 1 to a 2, a 2 to 3, the gaps between those integers get logarithmically larger. So going from a 2 to a 3 is like nothing compared to it's like walking from one part of the living room to another, versus 6 to 7 might be going from here to the moon sort of thing. So all three of those metrics that I mentioned are also logarithmic in nature. Anyways, you get page-specific metrics, subdomain-specific metrics, and domain-wide metrics in relation to all these things on Open Site Explorer for the site in question that you're analyzing. And then this tab shows you the anchor text distribution. What are the most popular anchor texts that are being used when people link to you? And this is very helpful to see if you look over-optimized, if it looks like you're buying links, because there are too many links that it's too large of a percentage of links that are very commercial in nature. If you're a certain used car lot in San Diego, and most of the links say used car San Diego, yeah, that looks pretty suspicious. I think you deserve a penalty for that. Then you have Majestic SEO, which is a competitor to Open Site Explorer. I encourage you to get both. I think they're both excellent and they're both affordable. This particular report is showing some trending over time and acquisition of backlinks, as well as the numbers of backlinks coming into your site and domains that are linking to you and so forth. And if you click on the graph, you can get you can change the settings on the graph so that you could see, instead of the acquisition of links over time each month in terms of what the number of links are, you can see a cumulative report, and that's what you're seeing right now, of the total number of links accumulated up until that date. And so you can see that the first graph, the chart there, is total backlinks for you and a competitor or two competitors. And then the next chart underneath that is referring domains, so sites that are linking to you. And so you can see that the yellow site is getting a lot of links, but a lot of them are site-wide links. There are a great many links that are coming from a small number of sites. So that doesn't look that looks questionable, looks dubious. That's something that we want to correct if possible and get more diversity in our link profile if that's the case for us, right? If we're getting a lot of site-wide links from a smallish number of sites, we want more links from more sites, not more links from fewer sites. And then this is my favorite tool for link analysis and research. It's called Link Research Tools, linkresearchtools.com. This particular report, and there are I don't know, 15 or something different tools inside of this suite of tools from Link Research Tools, or LRT. And this particular one is called the BLP, or Backlink Profiler tool. And you can see a distribution of the sites linking to your competitor or to you based on the theme of the site. You know, computers, education, nonprofit, whatever. And you can also see by site type. Is it a blog? Is it a CMS-based website, etc.? And then if you scroll down on this BLP report, you can see that the distribution of anchor text and of the types of links in terms of, are they followed links or no followed? In other words, not passing PageRank. Are they just mentions without it being a link at all? And you actually want people to mention your brand or company name or domain and not link to you sometimes, because that naturally happens in the wild. If nobody does that, that looks suspicious, right? So we don't want to stick out like a sore thumb and look suspicious to Google, because we might get a penalty. At least we'll get further scrutiny by Google, and Google has this army of manual reviewers, human reviewers that check out websites looking to see if you're playing dirty tricks or doing things that you shouldn't be. This is another report out of Link Research Tools. This is called CLA, or Competitive Landscape Analysis. Again, it shows you distributions of types of links, or types of sites that are linking, themes of those sites that are linking. And what this does is different from the BLP tool, is it juxtaposes an average of your competitors to you. So you can see for sure that you stick out like a sore thumb. If you have way too few bloggy links compared to all your competitors, that looks pretty suspicious. Or if you compare yourself to all the top ranking sites for the keyword, right? If everybody else has a lot of bloggy links and you have almost none, that looks suspicious. Or conversely, if you have way too many bloggy links compared to everybody else that's ranking highly for that keyword that you're targeting, that looks kind of suspicious too. So, and then if you scroll down on that report, again, you can see the data, the actual links that are pointing to each of your competitors. Yeah. And you can see the anchor text used, the various metrics like MozRank and so forth. Pretty cool stuff. And there's filtering capability as well. You can say, just show me those URLs that have certain keywords in the anchor text, or that have a certain range of MozRank scores from 4 to 10, or number of backlinks of at least X or whatever. That's pretty cool. All right. Now we're getting close to the end here, so thanks for sticking with me. I know it's like drinking from a fire hose, so good for you for staying with us. I mentioned that you want to treat this like an experimental science, that you want to come up with hypotheses and test those hypotheses and so forth. You need to test everything. I really need to encourage you to do that. When you run these tests in regards to SEO, it's very different from landing page testing or doing PPC testing, because you can really only vary one thing at a time and see what the results are. If you change your title tag and your H1 and your keyword prominence in the body copy and anchor text and links internally that point to that page, how do you know when the needle moved what it was that moved it in the positive direction? You could have done some things that moved it in a negative direction as well. So you need to vary only one thing at a time, see what the impact is, and then run another test. You can test so many different things. Spidering, like I said, on-page factors, the titles, H1s, keyword prominence in the body copy, anchor text of internal links, et cetera, et cetera. You can also measure based on multiple metrics, not just the rankings improvement or decrease. You can watch the spidering behavior, what happens to the spidering activity of Googlebot, traffic to the page, resulting sales, page yield, keywords per page, etc. And I included a URL to an article I wrote for Multi-Channel Merchant on this topic there that could be useful. All right, so a couple of quick things here. Just you want to be careful to use the tools properly. And one example is the Google AdWords keyword tool. If you don't log in to your AdWords account or your Google account, you will not get historical trending out of that tool. You won't get as comprehensive of keyword suggestion lists. And then also, if you are using the tool, the Google AdWords keyword tool, and you are not specifying that you want exact match instead of broad match, this is critical. If you don't tick that box that says exact and untick the box that says broad, you will get really useless data in terms of SEO from this tool because all the numbers are going to be overinflated. They're going to include potentially hundreds or thousands of other keywords. The numbers will be massively overinflated. So a quick example, compare just in the default setting where it has exact match the word blog, how many searches supposedly for the word blog. Comparatively, if you switch it to exact match only, it's a fraction. It drops to like next to nothing. It's like, what is it, 100 million or whatever, down to 2 million or something, right? So definitely change the match type so that it's no longer broad but exact match only when you're using this tool for SEO purposes. All right. Lastly, recognize too that when you're doing PPC and SEO that cannibalization happens. It isn't always just rainbows and unicorns. You might have a situation where you're buying keywords on AdWords and you are basically buying traffic that you would have gotten for free if you would have just left it for people to click on your organic or unpaid listings. So that can happen. You want to be smart about how you're doing your PPC. I'm not advising you to stop doing PPC. Just be smart about it. Measure this stuff and see what the synergies or cannibalization effects are so that you can make better decisions in terms of your SEO and your PPC efforts. If you're interested in learning more about that topic, and you can see here on this graph that there was an inadvertent test that was run. I'm a big fan of testing, but not necessarily inadvertent tests. They accidentally shut off their PPC, and so they flatlined with their PPC traffic, and you can see a commensurate jump in the organic traffic as soon as they shut off their PPC. So in that case, they were paying for traffic they would have gotten for free. Kind of interesting. I wrote an article on this topic for Search Engine Land, which if you have time you might want to check out. All right, so we are at the end of the deck here. We have a few minutes for questions. I will give you a few resources that you can look into here if you're interested in learning more about analytics. I'm a big fan of analytics, as you could probably tell. So the Web Analytics Association is a great resource if you're interested in joining an association, webanalyticsassociation.org, and then their blog is waablog.webanalyticsassociation.org. A well-known author in the area of analytics is Kaushik. That's his last name. His first name just suddenly escaped me. Avanish Kaushik. He wrote a book called Web Analytics an Hour a Day, which is excellent. He also has a blog called Occam's Razor, which is very good. And the eMetric Summit, if you're interested in conferences, is a great conference to go to if you want to learn more about analytics. All right, so let's take some Q&A for about 5 minutes or so. And also, one last thing here, if you're interested in getting a copy of this PowerPoint slide deck, and also I have an article on how to get higher rankings in the number 2 search engine, which is YouTube. So that is oftentimes not on people's radar. They're not even tracking their rankings in YouTube and their search rankings in the YouTube search engine. I have an article about that, which you can get both of these things if you email my assistant. Her email is admin@stephenspencer.com. All right, Yasmina.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephan, for a great presentation. All righty. We do have a few questions that have come in, and we'll just take them in the order they did come in. Mohammed asks, UTM tags, do they dilute the unique page rank?
Yeah, that's a great question. And no, Google is smart enough to recognize that that's a parameter that they actually added. So in their Google Analytics, and so that they can collapse the page rank to the canonical URL. It doesn't hurt to use a canonical tag on your pages that doesn't have any tracking tag, and I'm not saying anything specific to the UTM tag, which is part of Google Analytics, but just in general, if you want to collapse the duplicates, a great way to do that, regardless of what you're using for your tracking parameters and so forth, is just canonical tag. You just, in the HTML, list the canonical URL, the URL that is definitive, the one without the tracking parameters, and Google will collapse all the page rank to that one URL.
Thank you very much. And our next one is from Jens. Jens asks, are you covering the additional challenges regarding international SEO, such as localization, in your new book?
We do have some stuff on different country search engines, but it's not a significant portion of the book. So, yeah, so that's kind of the short answer is kind of.
Great. And Matthias asks, what tools are useful for measuring non-performing pages?
Yeah, so that's built into a tool from my experience, the tool that I had developed called Gravity Stream, which is now Organic Search Optimizer. That's part of Covario's suite of tools. I know that tracks non-performing pages. I don't know what else out there tracks it. I've been speaking about this metric for several years now, though, so hopefully there are some tools out there that kind of decided to start tracking that.
Great. Andrea asks, she says, I'm a small consulting business. Is there a tool that would give me the most bang for my buck? I'm a member of SEO Moz.
Okay. So if you are already signed up with SEO Moz, that probably would have been my first suggestion. Majestic SEO, I think, is another really good one. And if you have the budget, Link Research Tools is a bit more, but it provides just so much more in terms of capabilities for link building and link research. So, yeah, I would definitely include that one on the list. And SEMrush if you also have some budget left over. But you're doing a good job just by having SEO Moz. So that's a great start.
Thank you. Colleen asks, when testing different elements, how long should each test last before you can see an effect?
So I would watch for the rankings to shift, and I would look to get some statistically significant enough numbers from that test in terms of traffic and conversions. So, in multivariate testing and A/B split testing, I think they say that you need to get at least 15 conversions a day to do an accurate A/B split test, and you need way more than that, I think, to do multivariate testing. I'm not a multivariate testing person. I'm not an expert on that sort of aspect of online marketing, so I can't tell you what I think from memory that's statistically significant numbers, but read the book Landing Page Optimization if you want to learn more about that aspect, but just realize you need to get statistically significant enough numbers in terms of your conversions in order to know if that test worked or not.
Great. And we just have time for just a couple more questions. Mohammed would like to know your thoughts, Stefan, on Google +1's potential role on search results.
Yeah, I think over time you're going to see Google paying more and more attention to these social signals and user engagement metrics too. In fact, there's a whole chapter in the new edition of The Art of SEO on social signals. So chapter 8, I believe. And yeah, definitely pick that up and read that chapter.
Great. And one here, suppose you get good traffic via AdWords and as a result eventually better organic listing. Will Google penalize you if you stop paying for AdWords?
Okay, so there's a myth built into that question that when you buy AdWords that you're going to get SEO benefit from doing so. That is not true. You might get more known in the world by spending a lot of money on AdWords, and then maybe you'll get more media mentions and more links because of that, but that's kind of a side effect. It's not really, you're not getting a direct impact in terms of SEO benefits from buying AdWords. So consequently, no, you're not going to get a rankings drop by stopping your PPC. You're going to continue to get what you deserve in terms of your SEO based on your link authority and quality of your content and so forth.
Great. And one from Allison. Allison asks, what is the lag time between a change in a variable and seeing the result in Google?
Yeah, so it can be very quick. You can have a new page indexed within minutes. Pretty amazing. And so you can start seeing the impact in your rankings pretty darn quickly, particularly if it's a page that's getting spidered frequently by Googlebot, if it's got a lot of authority in the eyes of Google. That's kind of there's a strong correlation there. The more authoritative or more page rank the page has, the more it gets spidered. So you can use that kind of as a proxy for page rank. Is if a page gets spidered a lot, it probably has a lot of page rank or importance in the eyes of Google. So the short answer is if the page is spidered pretty frequently, it's pretty fast.
Great. And our final question is from Janine, and she asks, what is your new version of Truths of SEO to be expected? She would like to pre-order her copy. I'm sorry, the Truth of SEO? Yes, I think she has a title not correct. Janine, if you're referring to the Art of SEO, the second edition, yes. If, Stefan, you want to give some more details on that to folks? Okay.
So yeah, that book is coming out on the 17th in ebook form. So March 17th it will be available. You can pre-order it now, and then it will be available in print form approximately 2 weeks after that. It'll be at all the major bookstores and on Amazon and so forth. But as I said, you can pre-order it now from Amazon, from O'Reilly.com, and other online booksellers, and of course you can pre-order the ebook version today from O'Reilly.com as well.